Hey, just a quick special note. Everything that was said in the video is technically true, at least for the AP exam. But there is a special case here that we need to be aware of. So if we're to create two string literals, string A and string B, that both have the same contents, and we compare them, we're going to get a true statement. Even though the video said we should get a false statement, they're actually going to be a true statement because they're string literals. It has to do with the way the object is created. Java knows when an object is created this way, that it is specifically a string literal, and it is setting up a memory table, so that way it doesn't use extra space that it doesn't need. This happens only with strings. Now, if we were to create the string using the constructor, the new string constructor, it actually does create the object and not as a string literal. In this case, we would see that it produces a false statement. So it's not going to work. You got to use something else. So to compare these types of strings, we use the dot equals. So for string literals, it's okay to compare them with the equals equals. It will evaluate as true. It's not technically making two separate objects for these, even though we said it is in the video. It's technically not. This is new for the newer version of Java. In order to create two separate objects and get to our idea of having to use a dot equals, we have to use the new constructor and the string constructor name command, which always happens to be the same as the class. We'll talk more about that later. So if we go through and see this run, we're going to compare two string literals, and we see that the first time we read it, we have A and B as string literals. Notice how it's stored. And we compare them with an equals equals, and that comes out to be a true. Moving forward, we're going to compare string objects. We get C, and we get D. So it looks like in memory that we have two of them set up for both of these. Moving forward, it says it's a false. So the first one where we try to do the equals equals, when we're comparing these two string objects, comes out to be a false. So we got to move forward one more and do a dot equals instead, and it comes out to be a true. So that's okay. So really for the AP exam, be aware when they're testing you and you're doing this assignment that they're looking for new objects. So they're probably not going to test you on this specific example with strings. They're going to really look at some other type of object when you're comparing them and see that they're two identical objects. And when we're doing equals equals, it should be only comparing the addresses, and since they're not the same object, the addresses will be different. And if we want to compare the contents, we have to use the dot equals to. So more on that if we find out more specifically on the AP exam, if it's going to talk about using strings at all when it does this later on when we do for our AP exam review, but I wanted you to be aware of the difference and have this special case listed here in the notes.